baler, picking up the hay off the ground without bouncing out of my seat. Because of the sun and the dirty window, you can't really tell. But anyway, it does a really nice job of picking up the hay. There's one windrow right there, and there was one next to it that's not there anymore, and you can't see anything left of it. So I'm really liking the little baler. I think Sam's really liking the little baler. And it's definitely a different experience being in the big tractor while it's baling than being in the little tractor raking. But I'm glad that everything dried out enough that we were able to do this. I'm trying to see if there's a bale around somewhere that I can show you. It might be on the other side of the top of the hill. Yeah. So we'll get there in just a second. It looks like relatively soon it's going to make this horrendous beeping, screeching noise and tell us that it knotted, which means that's the end of a bale. It ties a knot. It ties 2 knots at the end of the bale, and it gives you a warning like that. Luckily it puts up a little symbol so you know that it's just that it knotted and not that, you know, the end of the world is happening. But again, because of the angle of the sun, I don't know if you can tell. That one is very dark green and very, very pretty. This one is a little lighter green.
I think it's shadow versus
Oh, is
sun.
it? Okay. Sam says it's shadow versus sun, which totally makes sense. But it's also very rectangular and I think very pretty. So that's just what we're doing right now. So yeah, we'll see how many bales we end up with and if we can get it all baled today or if we have to re-rake some of it and wait or both. And yeah. So last night, well yesterday afternoon, we took the 6 bales that Sam had baled yesterday that were pretty wet and contacted one of our customers who's bought some hay from us before and asked him if he needed hay right now that he could feed right away, because as long as you feed it now, then the fact that it's super wet won't matter. It's just if you store it, then it'll rot and whatever. So we sold him 6 bales yesterday. Sam was working on baling. I think he baled the whole big pivot, but I'm not 100% sure. So then I was out working on stacking the bales so we could pick them up and take them out of the field today. And since it was time to come in and I already had a bale on the forks, I just brought it in. So this is what our 5th cutting bales look like. They are definitely a little, I don't know, a little different, but I like them. They're not quite as bright green, not quite as leafy on the outsides, and in the middle it got a little powdery, but that's just because, yeah, waiting for all of it to get dry enough, but not too dry. Some of it's too dry, but the stuff that's wet is too wet, so it's got good leaves on it though. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, Sam's predicting that we'll have, well, we've baled 24 bales so far. And so he's thinking maybe close to 60. And I can't remember how many we had from the last cutting. So we'll have to go back and check the count for that, but not too bad of a result. But it is taking a lot of hay to make a bale just because the windrows are so much smaller. So in today's installment of What Are We Doing While We're Waiting for the Rest of the Hay to Dry, we are going to go pick up the bales, or stack the bales that are in the field, take the pickup and get them out of the field, and then hopefully this afternoon it will be dry enough that Sam can bale the little pivot, and then we can pick those bales up and get them off the field, and then we'll see what we do to finish up the field. We're thinking of some different options and not sure when to water and how much to water, but I will definitely keep you posted. The hay barn's first official hay, because I don't think that's where that's gonna go, but I'll ask Sam about it. But I think that's kind of the gist of what this side of the barn's supposed to be for, so yay! So I got to drive the truck in the field while Sam loaded the hay onto it, which in some ways was scarier than when I was driving the semi in the field. Probably because I had to actually drive the truck into the field, not just drive it along once it got out there. So we are putting this in the barn, and I asked Sam about the 3 bales that were there. Those are actually sold to somebody. He's just storing them in there until they can come pick them up. And then I also asked about how we get to the old hay before the new hay, and he said instead of stacking it in rows or in columns and then in front of each other, we'll try to do rows across, so then that'll leave space so that we can get to the cuttings as we make them. So basically we're going to use some math and try to figure out how much space each cutting is going to need so we can have enough room across to get what we need and be able to get to everything. So that all made sense. So we're just going to keep picking bales up out of the field and stacking them in the barn, and then I'll probably show you what it looks like when we get everything that's already baled in there, and then come back when we have finished baling everything and it's the whole cutting minus the 6 bales that we sold yesterday are tucked in the barn for the winter. So stay tuned. So we are stacking this final cutting in the hay barn, and I get now that basically everything that would be in this row would be, like, if there were more cuttings, this would be the 5th cutting or the 4th cutting and then the 5th cutting and then the, anyway, so it would go across the barn this way so we could get to everything on this side that was older and then newer as we went across. So that totally makes sense. So this is everything off the big pivot. Sam's out raking the little pivot right now, and when he texts, then I will go start stacking them. So right now there are 24, because there's 23 in here, plus I don't know if you can see that one out there, and I'm not sure why that one's out there. If he's still a little too wet, if Sam forgot about it, I don't honestly know. So anyway, there's 24 plus the 6 that we sold yesterday, so that's 30 off the big pivot. So we'll see what the little pivot does. So we're still waiting for the final count, but I'm so excited to see it sitting here in the barn, which is what we built this whole building for. I mean, not just the hay, but hay and equipment. And we've seen the swather in here, and I think the little tractor's been in here, or something else has been in here. So, but it's just so exciting to actually see hay in it, because that's why we call it the hay barn, because it's supposed to have hay in it, and now it does. So, yay. Okay, so the final bale count ended up being 51 bales. And I think they look pretty good for as long as it took us to get them to dry and how long it had to sit in the field. So some of it bleached a little bit, but it's still green, it's pretty, it's got good leaves on it. So it'll just sit in here until we sell it, or if it doesn't sell right now, we know it's covered and protected, so it can sit here all winter, and we can sell it in the winter if somebody gets kind of desperate for hay, or in the spring, or whenever, or keep it until, I don't know, we get a cow or something to feed it to. So that is the final bale count for the 5th cutting of the 2024 hay season. It's been amazing. It's been so much fun. It's been some frustrations, but I think that's just part of farming and nature and things. So, but yeah, thanks for watching.